9 months ago, I attended the Novel Keys keyboard meetup in Morgantown, West Virginia, and as you would expect, there were tons of keycaps, artisans, prototypes, and of course, custom keyboards to play with. But right as I was about to leave, a guy comes up to me, practically bursting at the seams.
Yeah, so this is from like 85 or something like this.
Because he really wants me to see his keyboard before I go back to London. And thank goodness he did.
Crazy find.
Yeah.
Because in my 13 years of keyboard obsession, I had never seen a keyboard like this. And thus began my journey to source my own version and discover who, why, how, and what this confusing piece of tech is for.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have all been waiting for.
Hey, buddy. Yes, sir. Look at that.
This is the Monterey MK9500. Now, it may just look like a weirdly chunky mechanical keyboard, which it is, but this keyboard does something that I've genuinely never ever seen in another keyboard. Flip it around and you will see a keyboard.
Okay, that was a bad joke, but yes. Could you imagine the confusion, the confuddlement on my face when somebody showed me a keyboard that doubled as baby's first piano integrated into the back? I've seen a lot of keyboards, so to surprise me with one is very, very hard.
This is actually crazy. Keyboard, 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 keyboard.
Yeah, this went on for about 12 minutes, but after I had exhausted my surprise, I snapped back to reality.
We gotta get this working then. This is the cable that plugs into the keyboard. That's a problem. Okay, I'm back. I mean to tell you that old plugs are bad and modern plugs are good. And if anyone tells me that the cables we have now are worse than the cables we had in the future, I'm going to slime you. So, surprising absolutely nobody, the keyboard made in 1997 was not compatible with my computer. My computer takes USB Type A and USB Type C, and this is DIN 5, which I probably haven't used since I was like 5 years old.
If you didn't know, DIN 5 refers to the DIN connector you've probably seen in a bunch of old 70s and 80s tech, but it was actually made in the 50s by the German standards body, and I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sorry, so Germans please cover your ears, Deutsches Institut für Normen, that's where it gets its name, DIN. It was originally used for audio equipment, and it actually came in a range of connectors, 3-pin, but had everything up to an 8-pin, which altogether kind of looked like the Dragon Balls, but it was eventually adapted for other purposes by European manufacturers, like for IBM keyboards.
Not to matter, I came to the back of my computer because I do seem to remember that even some of the newer PCs have this little, where is it? Often purple and green connector, which is a PS2 connector. That I know.
Created by IBM, Personal System 2 came a little later in 1987 and replaced the DIN 5 connectors that were common on older keyboards. It basically used the same keyboard protocol, but unlike DIN 5, could be used for mice, and it was smaller, so yeah, PS2 is now my new best friend.
It's this one over there. So I had the genius idea, right? I thought, okay, if I can just go from DIN 5 to PS2 instead of going from DIN 5 to USB A or Type C and having to deal with, oh, is the connector active or is any of this stuff, I can just bypass that and go to that. So I bought this. This is a...
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, this next 10 minutes is just me yapping. Basically, I bought the wrong cable like 3 different times. All I needed was this little DIN 5 male to PS2 male adapter, but I ended up buying like several of the wrong cables somehow, I don't know.
And I take this and I put it into my computer, and bada bing, bada boom. The keyboard should keyboard. And just like that, we're off to the races. Oh. Oh. Kind of slow, but Wow. Where's you get closer to this, bro? Are you hearing that?
I wasn't over exaggerating, by the way.
Look at the chunk of this keyboard, man. Keyboards are not made like this anymore, unfortunately.
Keyboards really aren't made like this anymore.
These are almost certainly some kind of Alp switch. These are not your standard Cherry MX clickies. No, no, no. Come over here and take off the keycap. Ooh. What you will not see is a MX switch. You and most people are probably used to seeing something like this. What's that you ask? That's just the Cherry MX Purple. You know, it's my favorite switch.
Where could I get some of those?
Oh, you can get some of these at Glarses.com. Yeah, we deliver pretty much globally. I don't talk about Cherry MX Purples enough. Like, there are lots of cool switches out there, but since we've made these, they've been in a lot of my keyboards because I really just do love how it feels and sounds. And as you can see, there are so many different switches you could find. Sometimes trying to choose out of the thousands and thousands of switches you could have is quite difficult, but I think this is a great place to start. So yeah, Glarses.com, check it out, but that's not what we're here for, unfortunately. Yeah, look at this switch.
Whilst Cherry MX switches have been around since the 1980s, before the 2010s there was a more diverse set of switches you might find in a keyboard, such as those made by Japanese manufacturer Alps Electric. And you might have come across some of these switches if you've used an old Mac or Dell or any computer from the 80s and 90s.
This looks like some kind of, at first I wanted to say a white Alp, or maybe some kind of other clicky.
Hobbyists in particular, myself included, have been particularly fond of their clicky switches, and for good reason.
Yeah, this is the old style of like clicky. It doesn't have a click bar, it's got a click leaf. It's basically, instead of having a little bar in a clicky switch that, like in a box jade, where you press down the plunger and it's got a bar like this, and that clicks up and makes a sound. This has a whole ass like click leaf that basically slams against the wall of the switch, which gives you that. With this big chunky plastic chassis, you get that sound that kind of sounds like 1994, which is, whilst it is very cool, that is not what we are just here for. We are here to become maestros. Wait, so if I type on this, what am I gonna get? Because what letter is C sharp? Okay, well, that was underwhelming. Okay, oh! There's an on switch that I didn't press, okay. And now!
This was unexpected.
Is that not what you were expecting?
Okay, this is what I'm getting out when I press C. I get T1, TO. Or bracket 2, bracket O, or H3, HO. What the heck is this? So a C major scale in other ways is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or that. H3, HO.
The keyboard inside isn't just a bunch of mechanical switches underneath piano-shaped keycaps.
O with a, what's the O with a strike? I don't remember.
The internal suggests that it actually is created to emulate some sort of proper musical keyboard, but it also isn't giving me the sort of key codes you might expect to see from a MIDI keyboard, which made me think something was missing.
Is there... It did come with some other stuff. So it did actually come with some other stuff I didn't think we'd need. Easy Piano of Monterey International Corp and Music Omni Fashion Classroom of Omni Fashion. We're gonna have to get this to work, but my computer does not have a CD player. Ooh. Okay, my computer doesn't have a lot of stuff by the looks of it. Damn. how are we gonna get this to work?
Because of my cable nightmare of trying to bridge old hardware with new hardware with the help of Facebook Marketplace, I was able to go back into the past to use this old piece of software as it was intended on old hardware.
Oh.
But before I got everything set up again, I wanted to give my office chair a bit of a makeover because whilst I could go back to the stall I've been sitting on this whole video, I would prefer to not have back pain at 26. So I will instead be setting up my Libanovo Omni chair, which Libanovo told me was intended to redefine comfort. My back will be the judge of that. Essentially, the Omni dynamically adjusts to my seating position and movement to relieve pressure from my lower back, shoulders and bottom. Its bionic FlexiFit backrest hugs and adapts to the unique S-curve shape of my spine, and the headrest tilts automatically to keep my eyes level with the screen, and a SynchroLink mechanism synchronizes the backrest, headrest, seat and armrest to all move in time with my movement. There's a couple of different ways you can sit or recline in the Omni chair. You have 105 degrees when I'm actually doing some work, 120 degrees for solo work mode,
And 160-degree spine flow mode. Where have I seen this before?
But can it do this?
It can, but it can also do something that the PewDiePie chair couldn't. The 5-minute massage mode is supposed to relieve tension in my lower back by ever so gently lifting and lowering,
Oh yeah, that was good.
I've had a range of ergonomic chairs in my life. I don't find sitting for long periods of time that comfortable, but the Libanovo Omni is probably the chair that makes me least feel like I'm sitting on a chair after a couple of hours of using it, which in my books is pretty good. They currently have a Prime Day sale going, so check them out, link in the description.
Here we have old laptop. As you can see, we have mouse pad that looks like it hasn't been used for 20 years. Oh gosh. We have, okay, and actually not terrible laptop keyboard. CD drive. I haven't seen one of these for a while, have you?
Yeah, I realized after that was for floppy disks. I did not grow up with floppy disks, okay?
Actually, I did think that was a bit too small. But more importantly, we have a CD drive. I haven't seen one of these since 1924. No, it doesn't really work. Now, with all of us combined, I should be able to experience the keyboard of 1997 as 1997 intended. Here we go. We've come a long way. I'm so careful, bro. DIN 5. Okay. One button. It's working. It's doing something.
And after some slight troubleshooting,
Plugged in. Whoa, the jet engine on this, man.
Whoa, this is a blast from the past.
I got the laptop to work as intended.
Isn't that so nice?
It is good.
If I put it on my PC and I had that sound instead of that stupid Mac, BONG! I'd feel so much better about just everything in life. That was really anticlimactic. I thought it would shoot out like the cup holders. I remember, one throwback about CDs, I remember when I'd play like PlayStation games with my brother and they stopped working, we'd have to go to Game, to a physical store to get the discs cleaned.
Well, I never did that.
So I know you never lived.
Sure.
And after all of that, the CD did not work.
That's not good.
At this point, I was not bothered to troubleshoot, so
Probably a it thing versus a me thing. It's no big deal.
This is why you had to get me clean those ones.
It's no big deal.
I opened up the second disc and prayed it would work.
I'm much more into Omni
I-
fashion. I think it's actually got a lot around. A lot of storage.
Like, it's supposed to be made for like low-key gaming. Oh!
After 9 months of scouring the internet, going through cable hell,
Wait, I didn't even check if my keyboard is actually working.
and purchasing a new laptop, I would finally be able to itch the scratch that this keyboard gave
It
me.
is working.
Oh! Okay. Hey. Ooh.
The screen size.
Oh, wow. All right. Moment of truth. This is funny.
And after getting the keyboard to work exactly as intended, I could finally begin to figure out, why does this exist?
Okay, well.
The OmniFashion program had a couple of different modes to choose from. Some games, a teaching series, educational articles, highlighting notable composers throughout history, and my favorite, the practice mode.
Organ.
But to be completely honest, whilst the software itself is kind of cool, the keyboard piano experience kind of really sucks.
And what's really surprising is that it has key weighting. As in, I can press quietly. I don't know how many degrees it has.
None of this really matters when there's a small but definitely noticeable input delay in pressing the key and hearing the sound.
What I find really interesting is that a lot of these new like learn how to play keyboard stuff always they'll give you the actual keyboard and then they'll just light up the notes and you follow it. I guess in 1997 they said, nah, you're gonna learn how to read sheet music and you're gonna love it.
Oh, wow.
Which I probably not read actively for about 14 years, so. Oh.
Oh, your rhythm score.
So, okay, but my thing is, who is this for? This was made by a company called, what was it?
Monterey International is a Taiwanese company founded in 1977, better known for being an OEM, an original equipment manufacturer. They made keyboards, mice, and computer parts for other companies to brand, and I can't see any evidence that says they tried to branch out into multi-purpose keyboards or educational gear, which makes this even more interesting.
But this would have been made in 1997, where I could imagine in a classroom, this might have been a really good way to teach kids about music theory in an active way that I honestly didn't think they had 30 years ago.
To this day, Monterey basically still do the same thing, mice, keyboards, periphery, OEM-y stuff, and I'm yet to run into a person who can attest to have ever used or even seen one of these music keyboards in their lifetime. But most people love the concept.
I know when I was in learning instruments at school, which honestly wasn't that many years after this, we didn't have this.
Whether or not this was something for very specific use cases or just wasn't adopted, they sure as heck seem to intend for it to be used, because the love and thought that went into the hardware, let alone the software that comes with it, really didn't seem like it was just made on a whim.
I bricked it. Control array element 3 doesn't exist. I'm too good. They said we've never heard playing this good.
Although, just by looking at the MK9500 or anything else in this video, nothing from 30 to 40 years ago really looks like it could have just been made on a whim anyways. The manufacturing for whims didn't really seem to be a thing, just something I would love to look at more deeply. But for today, I'll gladly accept that for some reason, this double-sided, double-function keyboard came to the market and presented one of the most interesting, thoughtful, and cursed pieces of technology I've had the pleasure of exploring in a long time. I also know this isn't my normal format of video, but if you liked it, let me know. The Glarses company is trying out some new stuff.